As many of you know, we live over in Eastern Oregon. We live over in a little community called Lone Rock. Rhonda and I do. It's been cold over there this week. Long johns have been pretty normal wear. High this week, we got up to 31 one day. Yeah, that means it never did a thaw out. It's cold. But you know, we're pretty well blessed. There's the heater that works. There's the propane fireplace in the living room that works. And the house is 70 degrees, so life is good, right? You know, and we have friends that come over and visit. I made homemade biscuits one day and invited people to come over and eat them, so I didn't eat them all. But Christmas is a special time of the year. And it can be a very difficult time for some people. It's a difficult time for my wife because she would just as soon all of the kids would come to our house and spend about a week and a half, you know, and they would, all the grandkids and everybody, and we'd have the whole family together. But when they live, you know, 1,000 miles away almost, and that doesn't happen. They got their own family and they start their own traditions. That doesn't happen. For me, Christmas usually starts on the 24th of December and is over on the 26th, you know, and that might be about a day too long. And usually, if the days fall right, I do all of my Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve, because you don't want to rush into anything and make a hasty decision. You want to think about it for a good long while and then go purchase that one item. See, I don't go shopping. I do go buying, but I don't go shopping. And so other people, for example, my wife's Christmas will start January 1st. And she will shop all year to find that special thing. And it might be bought in February. It may be bought in May. It could be bought in June. And it could be bought the 23rd of December from Amazon. But she's going to spend the whole year getting ready for Christmas. And I think that's important. I really do think it's important. I think Christmas is important for us. But there are a lot of things about the Christmas story that we cannot find in the Bible. You just can't find it. You know, I cannot find anywhere in the Bible where it says that Mary rode a donkey from Nazareth to Bethlehem. It's not there. I think it's a great tradition, and I think it probably is true. But if you want to go find scriptural proof for it, you're going to do a lot of looking and a lot of studying, and you're going to find what people are going to say, well, you know, it's a good tradition. So we're going to talk about tradition today. We're going to talk a little bit about the donkey. And Alan sent me he had preached about the donkey on Easter a couple, 3 years ago, and he sent me, you know, this manuscript. I don't know, 48 pages or whatever it was. It was this manuscript that he had used and all the things that he had found out about the donkey. And I found it very interesting. I really did, Alan, and I appreciate it. I looked up some of the stuff, and I've used some of it. But right now my iPad is not liking me at all. And I'm not sure why. There it is. You know, technology is wonderful as long as it works. There we go. So let's take the time this morning. I want to read from Luke, the 2nd chapter. I only want to read the first 5 verses. Now, if you were my house on Christmas Day, we would open presents on Christmas morning. We would gather around the tree with the kids, and they would bring me the big family Bible, and we would read Luke 2, 1 through 21, Christmas morning, every Christmas. Now, the kids might be up way before they should be, and they would make sure that mom and dad were up too. But they knew that we did not start anything else until we had read the story. But we're just going to read the first 5 verses this morning. It says, "In those days, a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration from Quirinius, was governor of Syria, and all went to be registered, each to his own town. And Joseph also went up from Galilee, from the town of Nazareth to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and lineage of David, to be registered with Mary, his betrothed." The ruler of Rome, which was over the nation of Israel at this time, makes a decision that they're going to take a census. In America, we do that every 10 years, and they fight about it every time we do it. But they're going to take this big census, and he wants to know how many people he really is in charge of, because, you know why? So he can tax them. He wants their money, and that's the reason why. So he sends them, and they're all supposed to go back to the city of their lineage. And Joseph is going back to Bethlehem because he is of the lineage of David. And that is very important in the Christmas story. It's very important in the lineage of Christ. So he's going there. He goes with Mary. It's a 90-mile journey. I looked this morning just out of curiosity. It's an hour and 47 minutes by Highway 6 in Israel. It's an hour and 59 minutes if you take a different highway. So why would you take the longer way? Take the short way. But it's not an easy trip. It's 90 miles. It is, according to Google, it'll take you 31 hours of walking to make it. So that means you're going to walk 3 miles an hour. It's going to take me 45 hours. So I ain't going to walk that fast. And so they're making this journey, and not only are they making the journey, but understand you're making the journey with a wife that is 8 months pregnant, 8.5 months pregnant. Again, that's another thing that we're not sure of. When we read the story, we don't know if Mary gets to Bethlehem and that night that she gets there, she has the baby. We don't know that. We often assume that, but the truth of the matter is that they may have got there 2 weeks before the baby was born. They may have got there 2 days before the baby was born, and they may have checked into the only place they had for him to stay, which was in the barn, so to speak, and the baby was born 15 minutes after she got there. We don't know, but that's where she was going. That's where the baby was born. It's a 90-mile journey, and a lot of it is uphill. It's in rough country. My wife would be riding a donkey because I wouldn't make her walk. And there might be some times along the way that I might have wanted to ride the donkey. But the donkey is known as a beast of burden. It's something that you can pack things on. It's something that carried things. And in the Middle East, it was used to carry trade goods back and forth, just like they did with the camels. But it was also let's just say it was the Kia of the day. It's not a Cadillac, okay? It's not one of the nice horses that Sandy rides. It's a donkey. It's a low-cost animal. It's something that people who did not have a lot of money could afford, and they would have that. Does that mean that Joseph didn't have a lot of money? I don't know. Did that mean that it was just the means that they had for this trip? Again, I don't know, because the Bible doesn't tell us that. Tradition tells us that Joseph was a carpenter, that Joseph seemed to be able to take care of himself and his family, and that they made this journey. And again, think about this. He's a carpenter. He has to close up shop, march for 90 miles with his wife to go register for the government of Rome, and in all that time, he's not getting paid. Unemployment didn't kick in. Then there was no family leave act. You know, they were on their own. Whatever he had was what they had. And so he's able to do this, and he has, let's just assume for our purposes today, he has a donkey that his wife is able to ride on, and it becomes the one who is carrying Mary from Nazareth to Bethlehem. It is the one who has been given the responsibility of transporting the Son of God to where he's going to be born. Don't lose that thought. Hang on to that one, okay? Because it's going to come up again before the morning is over. Just hang on to that. This beast of burden that, you know, people, we haven't been real nice to the donkey in our lives. You know, we liken the donkey to somebody that maybe we don't like, and we would call them we would call them something else. Or somebody who is stubborn. None of us know anybody that's like that in our lives. We have nobody that we live with or know or work with that's stubborn. It's just, we're all just easy to get along with and very malleable and do whatever we're asked to do. Wrong. So we have not always been kind to the donkey. But remember, the donkey saved Balaam's life. Without Balaam's donkey, his head would have been cut off by the angel of the Lord because he was doing what he was not supposed to do. And by the way, they do not call it a donkey in the Old Testament. Just look that up for yourself. I'd get in trouble if I told you what it was. It's a beast of burden. It's used to carry things, and they can sometimes be stubborn. But I learned something. I learned something from Alan's manuscript that he sent to me, that you can take a donkey, and if you train it properly, and I think this took place in England or someplace on a beach, and you put somebody on the donkey was trained to only go so far up the beach, half a mile, whatever it was, and then it would turn around and come back. It wouldn't go any further. It was trained to go there and come back. Go there and come back. Go there and come back. And so it could be trusted to do what it was asked to do. I think that's important. Don't lose that thought either, because we're going to come back to that. That's an important thing for us today. So we know that it was a beast of burden. Number two, it's a means of transportation. And, you know, all of us like transportation. We like our cars, don't we? Some people like their cars better than other people do. I took my wife to the store the other day so she could go shopping and I could take a nap. And as I'm parked there, this guy pulls in this lifted 4x4, and he gets out with a spray can and he starts cleaning these tires and cleaning the running board and then doing the back tires. And I'm thinking, Lord have mercy, if you got a problem, buddy, you know, you need to come and live where I live. You would be doing that every 5 minutes. But I'm thinking that my pickup will get washed when it rains really good. That's when it'll get washed. I may take it through a car wash, but last time I did, they said that there was stuff in the back and they wouldn't turn the blower on, so it just kind of got a little bit clean. It didn't get completely clean. I'm not that concerned about my vehicle. It's not that important to me. My wife had a 2002 Honda Odyssey van that we bought from my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, and that they had bought from an older lady. And Rhonda decided that she wanted a new car, and We have a grandson who's 20, at that time he was 26 years old, single, you know. And I asked him, I said, Tylee, would you like to buy Grandma's van? He lives in Minneapolis. I said, I'll deliver it to you. But would you like it? Would you like to buy it? And we worked out a price, and I had to take it down to the tire shop and put new tires on it and have it aligned. And $1,000 later, I'm on the road to go take him this car that he had spent $2,000 for. But understand that I asked him, I said, you know, this isn't it is a minivan, Tylee. He says, Grandpa, will it get me from point A to point B? I said, yeah. He says, then what else can you ask of from a vehicle? That's all he wants. That's all I want from my vehicles. That I will ride the donkey. I don't need the horse. The horse is okay, but I will ride the donkey. I will take the cheapest means of transportation possible. I will take that will work for me. Often we can get caught up into having to have the newest and the best and the shiniest when that is not what we really need. There are certain things that I would love to have. I would not put them on my, I've got to have them, but if there was a wish, if I ever won the lottery, there are certain things that I would really like to have. I would like to have one of them marathon motorhomes. You know what? You know the ones they make out of the bus that cost about $500,000, as much as $1.25 million. I have priced them, and realized that I do need to win the lottery if I ever want to have one. And then you have to win the lottery, you got to buy a ticket. So it's a tough choices there. But I don't need one. But I would like to have one. I make the trip to Liberia. I told Sam Risley, I said, Sam, if I ever won the lottery, I said, we're going to take a team to Liberia in first class. Have you ever been on one of those intercontinental airplanes and been in the first class section of those things? Holy moly cow. Those things are awesome. They are definitely not a donkey. I mean, they're the Rolls Royce thing. You know, they got beds up there that lay down, and then the thing that covers you so nobody else can bother you. And some of the planes now actually have showers in them. And I tell you what, after you've been up for 34 hours, a shower sounds like a good idea. But I don't need that. It would be nice, but I think it would be kind of fun sometime to do it. But you know, I can get in coach and still get to Liberia. I can still sit in the back of the plane and still get to Liberia. I probably would get to sit by some people and meet some new people in doing that. And by the time we got back, they would be thinking, yeah, the shower would be a good idea. So not only is the donkey just a beast, a burden, it's a means of transportation. It's a way to get whatever is needed from point A to point B, but it also can be a means of survival. Donkeys can go a pretty long time without much food and without a lot of water. That's why people who prospected in the desert would use them, because they didn't require a lot of care, and they would often take care of themselves and often would help them to find what they needed. Water. You know, there's the song, the Cool Water. The Gaither band sings that with Jake Hess, and Jake is dead now, but they sang that and made some fun of it. But you know, there's nothing quite like that which is going to take care of you, that is going to provide the means for you to survive whatever it is that you're going through in life. I watched some video clips that I can kind of drive my wife nuts because I can watch those little 30-second YouTube clips, and I find them quite entertaining sometimes. But they had a whole series of them of animals saving people, of dogs saving little children. One of them I thought was kind of the cutest of all of them was this little Chihuahua thing, a dog that looked like it weighed about 2.5 pounds. And you couldn't really see what was going on until they zoomed in a little bit, but this dog ran out in the middle of the road and was just yipping and carrying on. And I mean, in the road, traffic, it's rolling out in the road. And a guy stopped to see what was going on with the dog. And what was going on with the dog was the 2-year-old child that was just off the side of the road by itself. And that dog was letting everybody know it was there so it wouldn't get ran over. Animals are pretty amazing. Whenever I don't feel good, my German Shorthair knows that. And she wants to climb up in my lap and make sure that I'm okay. Animals have a way of wanting to take care of their masters, and they really have a way of wanting to take care of those who try to take care of them. They can be the means of survival. I have a friend that when I went to high school with who has a companion dog. He spent $30,000 for this dog. It's a yellow lab. It goes with him everywhere he goes because he spent some time in the service, spent some time in Vietnam, and this is his service dog. That is his lifesaver. His solid point in life that he can count on. He can count on that dog all of the time. And I think that when we start and think about a person who is 8.5, let's just say 8.5 months pregnant, we'll give her the benefit of the doubt, and she has to get on a donkey and she has to travel for 90 miles. The donkey becomes a means of survival. I've never been pregnant, ladies, and I can't get pregnant. I don't care what they try to tell you today in our world. I can't. It's impossible. But I cannot imagine my wife at 8.5 months pregnant getting on a donkey and having to ride it for 90 miles somewhere, okay? You think about that, lady. Yeah, some of you ladies are going, oh, no. But what would be worse, getting on the donkey and riding it, or hiking the 90 miles up over hill and dale to get to where you had to go? She had no choice. She had to go. And so the donkey can become, and probably was, a means of survival. So let us tie a couple things together. Let's go back to point number 1, beast of burden. And can I tell you that in some ways we are the donkey today? We have been given this great task, this wonderful task of taking Jesus Christ with us wherever we go. We're the ones that we are to bear him. When people look at us, the way that we act, the things that we say, the way that we treat other people, they need to be getting a glimpse of what Jesus looks like. And that's become our responsibility. A word that I used to hate when I was a teenager. But it's our responsibility to take this wonderful news, this great news of Jesus Christ to people. Because people need to hear it. Because there are people who are like my friend who unfortunately life is not good to them, and life has been hard on them, and they need something that they can grab a hold of and they can count on. And there are a lot of things in this world that we can grab a hold of, and that people do grab a hold of, but they can't count on them. If you don't think so, just look at your 401k in the last 12 months. Well, in the last week. If you don't think so, think of all of the people that are going to be out of work in the next year. And if you can't see that coming, come and talk to me, because it's coming. And what are we then as the church? What are we as followers of Christ going to do? Are we going to sit back and say, I told you so? Or are we going to do something about it? I think the idea of the food bank and gathering food, I think that's a wonderful idea. And can I just say, I don't think you should do it a can at a time. I think you should do it a case at a time. When you go into Costco and you buy a case of corn, buy 2. And one of them comes and is given to the food bank, and one of them is for your family. So we have then given this great task, this of bearing Jesus Christ with us wherever we go. And now jump down to point 3. He's our means of survival. He's our means of survival. Many of you know, in my family, we've had enough death in this year to take care of the next 15, as far as I'm concerned. And my good friends Sam and Kathy Risley, their granddaughter only lives 6 weeks and dies. I have a good friend of mine who wrote again this morning, Chuck Sackett, talking about Chuck's going through cancer. He just got the bone marrow, whatever, from his daughter. It was just transplanted, but he writes about the presence of God and how much security he has in that. Chuck's 3 or 4 years older than I am. I honestly believe that I could not get through next week or the next week or the next day without Jesus Christ in my life. As I've said before, and some of you have never heard this, Willamina Christian Church is going to be the one place where it's okay to not be okay. And I can guarantee you, there's 60 of us here this morning, 65 of us. Some of you aren't okay. Hey, join the crowd. Join the crowd. And that's okay. Because we have one who cares about us enough that he left heaven. And think about this. Let's put this in our terms today. Let's go back to the marathon bus, the 1.5 million marathon bus. The bus that's got everything. The bus that has got gold faucets in it and the whole shooting match, because it does. Let's go back. He left that. And he came down to earth and got in a 2-man pup tent that has no toilet in it. That he has to go out and find the local tree. It doesn't have running water. It doesn't have a stove. It just is not, it's not the same thing. And Jesus left that which he had, came to earth so that you and I can now have what he has. I think that we have a tough time grasping that and really understanding that he left that which he had, which was the presence of God, in his presence all the time, the glory of heaven. He left all of that, came to earth, was born in a manger, died on a cross so that you and I can have that which he had. I look forward to that day. And that may sound odd, but death doesn't scare me. Because, and I have one brother that doesn't like it when I say this, but I'm just going to change addresses. I'm going to go from 125 Northwest Main Street in Lone Rock to 125 Main Street in heaven. That's it. But I only can do that because of what Jesus Christ did for me, and understanding that and realizing that. I think that Christmas is a great time of the year, but you know what? We're only 3 months away from Easter. And Easter, quite frankly, is more phenomenal than Christmas. Besides that, you get prime rib on Easter. Well, I'd been serious long enough, so I thought I needed to make you giggle a little bit, okay? This morning, I want to encourage you to be something that sounds odd. I want you to be a donkey. But I want you to be the donkey in the most positive way. Yes, Lloyd, I said that. I want you to be a donkey in the sense means that you're carrying Christ with you wherever you go. That people have an opportunity to see him in your life. That people, when they see you, get a glimpse of what is better. Get a glimpse of what humanity should be like, not what humanity is like most of the time. Because here's what will happen when you do that. Someone will come up to you and they'll say, "Why are you happy? Why can you face life the way that you can? Why do you put up with the stuff that you put up with?" And you can tell them, "Well, because I'm not in this alone. I got Jesus with me." Let's pray. Lord, I thank you for the day. I thank you for the way that you provide the scripture and the stories that we can understand, it may be a little closer, a little more, about your love and your mercy and your grace that you have for us. I would pray, God, that as we go through this week, as we go through this day ahead of us, as we prepare ourselves for next Sunday morning of being Christmas, and we remember what your Son and what you went through so that we could have eternal life, that we would not lose sight of that. And I pray this in Christ's name. Amen.
In the morning when I